Everything in this universe has a very straightforward price. And the price is not money. Many people believe that when they get on my program that the money is going to be what gets them the result, because they're so used to paying for items that induce immediate effects that they fail to recognize that you cannot purchase evolution. Evolution can be guided, never provided. And understand that everything in this universe has a price, an equivalent exchange of energy. And the highest value in all of the universe is energy. So the highest value to exchange is energy. Understand one thing. What I offer the world is 100% universal law backed guarantee. I bet that on the entirety of the fabric of the universe. And why can I say that? Because the only uncertainty is you. The only uncertainty is whether or not the individual is wholeheartedly willing to commit to being the most valuable that they can be. Understand that when you think the money is the price, the true cost is your superior life. Understand that when you think money is the price, all right, you paid the money, but what's the price of money? Ever question that? You think that money is what's the price of money? What's the cost of money? The cost of money is being valuable. How do you become valuable? How do you deliver value? You must improve yourself. Now, the only thing that is uncertain when you work with me is whether or not you know you're going to commit to never failing, or if you in the back door of your mind, in your subconscious, plan on trying to get the most value without first being the most valuable. Because that's what most people are doing in this universe. All of these spiritual people, spiritual at this point in life simply means delusional, incompetent, cheapskate, cheater, bypasser. We're not going for the word spiritual anymore. Psychical? Maybe. Energetic? Maybe. A true, honest metaphysician? Even though things are invisible and metaphysical, that does not mean that they're arbitrary. They're all actual. A true metaphysician, sure. But these spiritual individuals, what they're really looking to do is bypass the necessary effort, the necessary value offering, the value exchange, in order to receive the value that they wish to have. Everybody who is poor in life is looking to finesse life. And in return, they end up finessing themselves. The greatest people in this life, before thinking about receiving the most value, understand the value of being the most valuable. Not the most valuable than this person or that person. Just being as valuable as you could and should be. I love to be valuable for myself, as myself, by myself, for my people, for the world, for society, for civilization, for humanity. The act of being valuable as opposed to simply receiving valuables is the greatest joy. It's the performance. You can think about getting the trophy or winning the World Cup or winning the NBA Finals or, the championship. But that's after having been a high performer, after having been being extremely valuable to the point where you rightfully earned and deserve that based on how valuable you were. The price is not money. The actual price is being worthy of what it is you seek. Actually, non-arbitrarily, in direct correspondence and frequency of mind, behavior, thought, energy of the universe. So in order to get that physique that represents an individual who is an embodiment of values, of being valuable, of having comprehension, I'm looking at myself and feeling so good. I'm like, damn. I look at myself and I'm impressed. Look at myself and I'm like, damn, look at who you become. So people looking at themselves like, damn, who have I become? You let yourself go. Whatever you are, your world is yours. To get this, there's a very specific price. And even right now, I understand a new level of sacrifice, whereby which you have productive hours and leisure hours. Segue for a second. Everybody has productive hours or leisure hours. Most people, 24 hours, all leisure, no productive. But their ability to enjoy a high quality of leisure time is limited because they don't have any productive hours. Right now, your ability to enjoy life in your leisure hours is limited based on how much value you have or have not given in your productive hours. So what you need to do is to be able to sacrifice inferior leisure hours in order to earn and deserve superior quality leisure hours. There is a very specific exchange necessary. So when it goes to the body, when it goes to the money, when it goes to even having the comprehension and the true level of enlightenment, because a lot of people think that simply speaking and being able to memorize some shit and recite some shit is correlative or equivalent to comprehension. No. When Sheikhy Chic speaks, the world feels different about it. And why is that? It's because he's arrived at true realization, arrived at true actualization, arrived at true comprehension. It's not just saying, well, the sun has electromagnetics. No. We've arrived at truly knowing. It's not thinking, it's not simply reciting, it's knowing. So whatever you are, your world is yours. Everything in this entire universe has a very clear and equivalent price, which is being valuable. People think it's about the money. It's not about the money. I'm going to re-emphasize that because you need to recognize, ask yourself, and truly comprehend this question. If it's money, then what's the price of money other than being worth it? And how do you become worth a certain degree of money other than becoming, and then being a certain degree of valuable? Whatever you are, your world is yours. Consider the vibrations raised. This program, this path, the students who will learn from me are not individuals who are simply, wow, let's be spiritual. Fuck all of that. All actual, non-arbitrary. This is dead-ass life. And this is for people who see the future. Because there are a lot of shits and giggles going on in this world. And especially with people of this skin complexion, I gotta speak directly to these people. Why? Because it's a lot of shits and giggles going on. A weird-ass popularity contest of niggas who really ain't doing shit. And who are inferior models to replicate for future generations. Why? Because ultimately you're not creating any value. You're living in a subjective cultural context whereby which you're exchanging status symbols on a subjective cultural scale, but in all actuality, in the global scale, in the universal scale, in the economic scale, you're not actually developing wealth or value. You're just exchanging being observed and being praised for your own fucking cultural whatever the fuck. So right now, a lot of people think that, yeah, they could turn their blind eye to Sheikhy Chic. But certainly, at a certain time, you will realize that one individual is the model, the blueprint, and the template for true human prosperity, and everyone else was simply grown-ass kids in a weird bullshitting-ass competition for popularity and validation from other people. So the people who align with me now, because I've given up the idea of my peers getting with the shits. Maybe there will be people who were born in 1993, 1994, 1995, who awaken at some point. But the further we get in time, the less likely people are to change. So I'm focused on individuals like Blake, individuals like my new clients who were born in the 2000s, 2001, the young ones who have the future next, because that's all it's ever been about. It's about developing yourself, becoming valuable, and then being able to deliver and confer the behavior sets, the responsibilities, the ability to be responsibility, to then hold the keys of the future. Everything in this life has a very specific price. The individuals who want to be spiritual, they're just children who are delaying their own progress, and the older that they get physically, we've seen it all. 35 years old, 40 years old, 45 years old, 50 years old, 55 years old, still playing with fucking tarot cards and little fucking trinkets, playing make-believe in their fucking rooms as if any of that ever produced any actual tangible concrete results that mattered as far as the prosperity of an individual, of a group, of a tribe, of a society, of a civilization was ever concerned. These individuals mooch off of the system. They don't create anything, and they live to be leeches, to suck, to subtract and never add. RWY, your world is yours. You need to be an individual who lives to be valuable. And the highest level of value for yourself is intrinsic value of being valuable. I don't like to be great because championships come with it. I like to be great because I like to be great. It's the performance, it's the act, it's the conduct, it is the being which inevitably produces the outcome and the output and the out result. So for everyone in this video who's watching this video, understand that the only reason you haven't arrived at the outcome that you want is because you haven't paid the necessary price. First, you take the money to then finance your personal development. You earn money to be able to pay for people's time, their expertise, their energy, their resource. I happen to be an intellectual. I have possession of things which happen to be thoughts, which aren't tangible and physical to be touched by your hand, but which are the most important things in all of creation and humanity. For every physical, tangible thing you see began as an idea, as a concept, as an immaterial, imperceptible, yet very real and actual concept, ideas. Once you get the proper ideas, you have now been, as you can say, edified. You've been informed. You take that information and you apply that to your existence to get the outcomes. You don't have enough time to walk through the world not knowing what you don't know. And the greatest thing about this is that when you truly know that you will not fail, you truly know that you're committed not to winning, but you're committed to never failing, that's a different energy. Because everyone who hesitates in life reserves some type of exit in their mind, some type of that day they don't feel like it, that excuse. They reserve the capacity for excuses. The true individuals, the actual individuals who actually will actualize, actually who will become everything that these individuals pretend to be, purport to be, fantasize about being and becoming. The ones who actually actualize will be the old individuals who choose to no longer have the capacity or option to make any excuses, and who know that they will consistently back up their selves with the necessary actions by being responsible to the world and to the work that is necessary. I never give a fuck about the money because I know what the price of money is. The price of money is being valuable. As it stands, you don't know shit. You're not good enough at applying shit. You have no integrity. You're an unprofessional soul. So when you get into Sheikhy Chic's program, because a lot of people may be real estate developers and they'll give you a workout program. They might be accountants or this vocation and they give you a personal development program. I'm double that times 2 with the compound. Why? Because I actually studied the human constitution, psychology, sociology, theology, esotericism. I am a self-development specialist who is a self-development and personal development leader and coach as well. A lot of people lead with basic, no excuses, show up every day, the work, do the work, be who you need to be. No, not only that, we'll take you deeper and deeper and deeper and richer and more complex, and give you the most comprehensive comprehension necessary in order to achieve the highest degree of meaning in your life. It's about meaning. The more you know, the more you can appreciate. The more you comprehend about the existence you live in, the more you can appreciate the simple things and have a life of deeper meaning in a world full of meaningless individuals who live meaningless lives, who say things which mean nothing, and who have used the word spiritual so much to the point where that word in and of itself has become meaningless. I've never been reluctant to acquire the camera, the microphone, the coach, to invest in the tools that will help me produce and become and serve the value necessary. The coach is not going to make you valuable. Just like if I bought you a microphone, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the greatest rapper alive. The microphone doesn't give you power. It's the intrinsic worth development that gets expressed through the instrument that is the microphone. It is the intrinsic worth development that gets developed by interacting with a superior psyche such as myself and a coach such as myself. It is that latent, dormant potential. Having a camera doesn't mean that you're going to be the next Spike Lee. Plenty of people have cameras and ain't shit. Plenty of people have microphones and ain't shit. Plenty of people have talent and ain't shit. So as I've been telling y'all, with the cars, the clothes, the things, these are nice items to enjoy in your leisure time. But ultimately, they give you no power. Nothing in this life is going to make you better. But an individual like myself can help those who need to be better become as great as possible. And I recommend you seek all of the guidance and all of the counsel from all of the experts in all of the fields to become a well-versed embodiment of superior degrees of human potential. Consider the vibrations raised. The only uncertainty is your bitch ass in this entire universe. The only uncertainty is your bitch ass. Do you plan on never failing, or do you still reserve in the back of your mind the ability and desire to cop the fuck out? Once you go all in and there's no turning back, anything is better than this shit. You look at your circumstances in life, anything is better than this shit. I'm willing to pay the cost to be the boss. And what's the cost? The money? Nah, it's not the money. I always ask people, so what do you plan? Like, all right, suppose you get on my lowest level entry point, $300. What do you plan on running out of money and dying? $300 is going to stress you out. You're going to die. You don't have $300 in your future. When I go to Cartier, when I go to Louis, when I go to the Mercedes-Benz dealership, think I'm afraid to drop 10 G's, 15 G's? Why? Because I don't plant the future of my mind to believe subconsciously, whether you're conscious or not, that my future is devoid of money. Money is replaceable. How do you replace money? By paying the cost. What's the cost of earning money? Being valuable and worth it. Productive hours, homie. Consider the vibrations raised. A lot of you are very low level, have nothing to offer. You have nothing to add, nothing to contribute. People show up day in and day out to jobs simply because they need to make ends meet, not because they're going to a establishment or an enterprise. A school is an enterprise and a business. Everywhere you go is a business. It's a service being rendered. And somebody came up with the idea to create the infrastructure. Target, Apple, whatever, Best Buy, whatever the fuck you go to work. You showed up simply to get a check to cover your own little fucking creature needs, instead of showing up to provide and be as much value as possible. And that's why you have nothing to offer. You show up with your hand out. Give me a job. I need to get a job. How about you show up and increase the profit margins of wherever you go for everyone involved? Right now, if you truly comprehend and have a sapient mind, because ultimately, if I sat down and spoke to a dog about the implications of electron static, whatever the fuck, electromagnetics and aura, and how your cognition and your synaptic transmission are electrical signals. If I spoke to a fucking Labrador, a Doberman, a German Shepherd, no matter what the fuck, it won't comprehend. So, simply because it's bipedal doesn't necessitate that it's intelligent or has a certain degree of sapience to be able to fully comprehend. But do you? Everything that I've ever done for you, if you can fully comprehend and grasp it, has increased your profitability in life. And if you were to get on the program and get direct access, you would get exponential returns, because it's not simply the money. You think it's the money. It's not the money. After you pay the money and you get the information and you get the blueprint, what's the real cost? The equivalent value of being worthy of the result and the outcome by operating in a particular way and functioning in a particular way. Consider the vibrations raised. Evolution only solution, self-mastery only success. And ultimately, if you sit back and hesitate, pinch pennies, live in scarcity, reserve the right to quit, reserve the right to be a bitch, the cost, in all actuality, was never the money or the result. The cost was you having to live the life of an inferior individual at an inferior standard and quality, simply because you chose to pay it forward with fear and hesitation and scarcity and skimpness, instead of being your fullest, most great, most actual, most valuable offering at all times. Money is a very social thing. And the only way to arrive at money, this is why everybody's always tripping on the money, but it's, you're a low-level individual to associate. There's no value in associating with you. So you need to become a valuable member of society, and then have social grace, social tact, social EQ, social Q, SQ, IQ, EQ, SQ. Social. I'm not antisocial, I'm just very selective of who I fuck with. But I have a high degree of social competence. Understanding cues, knowing how to read a room, knowing how to socialize with people, and understanding people. But find understanding people. You feel me? Consider the vibrations raised. Evolution only solution, self-mastery only success. What's the cost of your life? Will you choose to remain on the other side of the fence, stay on the stoop? Or will you see and imagine the greatest possible potential that you can possibly imagine? Choose to believe in that and put your whole entire soul into the actualization of the individual who is necessary and worthy of that life, by becoming and increasing your value to the point of being able to be that individual. Consider the vibrations raised.